first week of Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial was only the beginning. From explosive testimony by Cassie Ventura to Kevin Hart's stunning courtroom moment, the world watched as a powerful music mogul was dragged from myth to reality. But what's coming next is even darker, because now the trial isn't just about what Diddy did, it's about who knew, who stayed silent, and who might be dragged in next. From Kanye West to Kid Cudi, Britney Spears to Prince, and even Diddy's own sons. The list of celebrities named in court is growing by the day. And with week 2 approaching, federal investigators, prosecutors, and courtroom insiders are hinting that the most shocking names haven't even been revealed yet. This trial has officially expanded. This isn't just a scandal, it's the dismantling of an empire. The first week of the Diddy trial left the courtroom scorched. At its center was Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former girlfriend and artist, testifying about over a decade of abuse, coercion, and psychological control. She described a world of lavish wealth that concealed a dark underbelly, where freak-off sex parties, drug use, and violent control weren't rare occurrences, but routine operations. Cassie's testimony was devastating. She spoke of being drugged, of being recorded without her consent, of being forced into sexual encounters with strangers while Diddy watched. She painted a picture of a man who wasn't just controlling in private, but weaponized his fame and money to isolate and dominate her entirely. The court listened as she recounted moments of physical assault, including the night he allegedly chased her through a hotel hallway, a moment caught on hotel security footage that has since gone viral. Then came Kevin Hart, unexpected, unannounced, and ready to support Cassie's claims. His words were powerful. "We laughed in rooms we should have run from," he told the jury, because silence is the currency that keeps the powerful protected. It was seen as a turning point until Diddy's defense team turned their sights on Kevin, presenting texts, party footage, and a narrative that cast doubt on just how much he knew and when. Still, something deeper was happening. Alongside these testimonies, names started to trickle into the record. Names that had nothing to do with criminal charges, but everything to do with proximity. Kanye West, Britney Spears, Michael B. Jordan, Prince. These weren't just casual mentions, they were deliberate insertions into the court record by both prosecution and defense. Suddenly, it became clear this wasn't just a case about one man's crimes. It was about a system built around him, a system filled with stars, silence, and secrets. And now, heading into week 2, the list of people named in the courtroom is growing. Subpoenas are rumored, depositions are being drafted, and what began as a reckoning for one man is rapidly transforming into a trial for an entire culture. From the moment jury selection began, the court faced a monumental challenge. How do you find 12 people with no strong opinions about Sean Diddy Combs, a man who helped define hip-hop in the 90s and 2000s, launched Bad Boy Records, collaborated with music legends, and hosted the most exclusive parties in the Hamptons and Beverly Hills? He wasn't just a celebrity, he was a cultural architect. The jury questionnaire included standard questions about bias, knowledge of the case, and opinions about celebrity defendants. But how could a potential juror be expected to remain neutral when the case involves a man who has appeared in Super Bowl commercials, launched million-dollar fashion brands, and was once considered the king of New York nightlife? And now, with the trial underway, the issue of impartiality is becoming more urgent, because the names being brought up in court are not just footnotes, they're household names. Kanye West, Britney Spears, Prince, Michael B. Jordan, Michelle Williams, Bruce Willis. These aren't just celebrities, they're icons with their own cultural weight, and the mere mention of them in this courtroom carries immense influence. Take Kanye, for example. The jury was asked if they have strong opinions about him, not because he's being accused of anything, but because he's appeared in music with Diddy recently. The court needed to know, would a juror's opinion of Ye cloud their judgment in a case involving someone he supports? Or look at Prince. Ventura testified about a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to perform at Prince's house. A moment of independence. A moment Diddy allegedly tried to destroy. Jurors aren't being asked to judge Prince, of course, but they're hearing his name in the context of abuse, jealousy, and possessive rage. And when Diddy's defense team casually referenced Bruce Willis and Eddie Murphy in a discussion about co-parenting, the courtroom took notice. It was part of an attempt to frame Cassie's behavior as rooted in envy. But to the jury, it was another set of celebrity names dropped into an already explosive trial. The concern now isn't just whether the jury can remain impartial about Diddy, it's whether they can stay focused at all, as more and more icons are pulled into the story. Because every time a new name is dropped in court, the headlines follow. And that means the jury is being asked not only to weigh testimony, but to untangle it from the culture that made these people famous in the first place. Of all the names mentioned in the courtroom so far, none carry as much chaotic energy as Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. Days after Diddy's arrest, Kanye released a track titled "Lonely Roads Still Go to Sunshine," which features a prison phone call between Combs and his son, Christian King Combs. The song didn't go viral for its production. It went viral for what it suggested. Why would Kanye West release a song with a recorded conversation from prison right as Diddy's legal nightmare was beginning? Was it an act of loyalty, a show of solidarity, or something far more strategic? The timing raised eyebrows. Some believed Kanye was attempting to humanize Diddy, to remind the public that behind the scandal was a father, a man facing a spiritual trial. Others saw it as a smokescreen. Kanye's been here before. Controversial behavior followed by symbolic gestures, a public attempt to control the narrative. But it's more complicated than that. The jury was asked directly if they held opinions about Kanye West. That suggests the court knew there was a possibility his name, his work, or his connection to Diddy would become relevant. Not because Kanye is accused of anything, but because his presence in Diddy's life could shape public perception of Diddy's behavior. And here's where it gets even more tangled. Kanye and Diddy have long histories, professional, personal, and spiritual. They've shared stages, studios, and political controversies. And in the wake of Diddy's arrest, Ye hasn't distanced himself. He's leaned in. In the court of law, that's not a crime. But in the court of public opinion, it's fuel to the fire. Because Kanye West, intentionally or not, has just stepped into the shadows of this trial. And now, the world is watching to see what he does next, and whether his connection to Diddy will go from symbolic to significant. When Cassie Ventura testified that Diddy threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car, the courtroom shifted. It wasn't just an emotional detail, it was a direct allegation of intimidation, and one with a strange, almost cinematic echo in real life. According to Ventura, when Diddy discovered she was romantically involved with Kid Cudi, he didn't just lose his temper. He made a violent, specific threat. He allegedly said, "I'll blow that motherfucker's car up." At first, it might have sounded like an exaggerated claim made in the heat of a fight, but what happened next gave it weight. In February 2012, Kid Cudi's car mysteriously caught fire in his driveway. At the time, it was written off as a random accident. There were no charges, no police investigation linking it to foul play. But when Cassie mentioned it during sworn testimony, years later and under the penalty of perjury, the moment took on a sinister tone. The courtroom listened as she described the paranoia that followed. She claimed she was afraid not only for herself, but for those she associated with. The implication? That Diddy's control extended beyond her, targeting anyone he perceived as competition or a threat to his dominance. Now, Kid Cudi's name isn't just in passing. He's become a key witness to a deeper psychological and behavioral pattern. The question remains, will he testify? His testimony, even if delivered via deposition, could carry enormous weight. He wasn't just a boyfriend. He was a celebrity in his own right, allegedly targeted by Diddy because of a relationship. If confirmed, this behavior fits with other patterns Cassie has described: rage, obsession, and retaliation. Cudi hasn't spoken publicly about the trial, but legal experts say he may not have that luxury much longer. With Ventura's team pushing for deeper investigations into past threats and potential acts of intimidation, Cudi may soon be called upon to give his account. And if he confirms even part of what Cassie said, it won't just damage Diddy's case. It will open the door to potential criminal charges tied to witness intimidation, threats, and even endangerment. What once sounded like a throwaway story from a bitter breakup is now being examined happened under a different light, a legal one. And if the fire in Cootie's driveway wasn't an accident, then it's not just smoke anymore. It's evidence. On the surface, actors like Michael B. Jordan, Bruce Willis, and Eddie Murphy might seem like unlikely figures to be mentioned in a trial involving sex trafficking and abuse. But in week 1, all 3 were named, each in a very different context, yet all pointing to one thing: Diddy's far-reaching network and the complicated emotional dynamics between him, Cassie, and the public figures around them. Cassie testified that her brief relationship with actor Michael B. Jordan had sparked another violent episode with Diddy. She said Diddy found out through surveillance, another hint at the extent of control he had over her life. According to her, the fallout wasn't just verbal, it was physical. Another fight. Another round of emotional warfare. The connection to Michael B. Jordan isn't necessarily damning in a legal sense, but it reveals a deeper problem. Cassie wasn't just afraid of Diddy hurting her. She feared for the safety of anyone she tried to build a life with. That fear, she claimed, kept her from speaking out sooner. Then, during cross-examination, Diddy's own legal team pivoted, referencing Bruce Willis and Eddie Murphy in what appeared to be an attempt to frame Cassie as envious. They read aloud texts in which Cassie reportedly said she wanted to be more than a girlfriend. She wanted to be a mother figure to Diddy's children. The attorneys pointed to Willis and Murphy as examples of celebrity fathers who successfully co-parented after separation. The implication? That Cassie wasn't just a victim. She was manipulating Diddy to get a permanent place in his life. But this tactic might have backfired. Rather than discredit Cassie, it showcased the lengths to which Diddy's team was willing to go to paint her as an opportunist. And more importantly, it dragged 2 more major names into the courtroom without their consent. Bruce Willis has been largely silent in recent years due to his health struggle. Eddie Murphy, a private figure off-screen, has given no indication he's aware his name was used in court. But the fact that their parenting styles are being used as legal references speaks volumes about how the trial is bleeding into the broader celebrity culture. In a sense, these celebrities aren't being accused. They're being recruited, used as symbolic leverage by both sides of the courtroom narrative. And in the process, the public is being reminded that fame doesn't exist in a vacuum. In a trial this large, even the people on the periphery get pulled into the storm. When the courtroom first heard Cassie mention Prince, it didn't raise eyebrows, it raised alarms. The artist, known for his exclusivity and mystique, had invited Cassie to perform at his house, a moment she described as a dream opportunity. But she didn't tell Diddy because she knew what would happen if she did, and she was right. According to her sworn testimony, Diddy found out anyway. He followed her, he cornered her, he beat her. Not because she had done anything wrong, but because she had exercised independence. What makes this testimony so significant isn't just that Prince was mentioned, it's that his house, his private, elite home, was the backdrop for yet another explosion of violence. That violence didn't happen at a freak-off or a club. It happened in the aftermath of one of music's most sacred spaces, being visited by someone Diddy viewed as his. Then there's Britney Spears. Her name surfaced when Cassie's 21st birthday was discussed in court. The guest list included Diddy, Dallas Austin, and Britney herself. According to testimony, it was one of the first moments Cassie realized how deeply intertwined Diddy was with A-list celebrity culture. It was a party like no other, but for Cassie, it marked the beginning of what would become a controlled life. Now, neither Prince nor Britney is on trial, but their names serve a larger purpose, to show that Diddy didn't just surround himself with enablers, he surrounded himself with untouchables. When you party with legends, who's going to question your behavior? That's the question prosecutors seem to be circling. These weren't just parties, they were performances, choreographed displays of power, status, and silence. People danced, people drank, people didn't ask questions, and if they did, they didn't ask twice. The reason these celebrities matter in court isn't because they're guilty. It's because they're proof of how Diddy operated in a world where his actions were shielded by proximity to fame, where red flags were camouflaged by flashing lights and white parties in Beverly Hills. Week 1 tore the curtain back, and now, in week 2, the question becomes, how many more names are behind it? The Diddy trial has been explosive on its its own, but it's what's happening just outside the courtroom that's fanning the flames. As the testimonies deepen and the evidence piles up, former associates from Diddy's past are breaking their silence, and no one has come forward with more anger and clarity than the women of Danity Kane. Aubrey O'Day has been one of the most vocal critics of Diddy since long before the trial began, but this time her words are gaining traction. In a recent interview, she referred to Diddy as a soulless man, claiming that his mistreatment of Danity Kane was so damaging that it altered the course of her entire life. She wasn't vague, she wasn't poetic, she was specific, detailing the toxic work environment, the manipulative tactics, and the fear that hung over the group during their time under his control. And then came Dawn Richard. Her appearance wasn't just in the press, it was in court filing. She has officially joined a civil suit against Diddy, accusing him of sexual abuse, inhuman working conditions, and the use of intimidation to silence victims. But what stood out most was her claim that she personally witnessed Diddy abuse Cassie Ventura. That's no longer just support, that's eyewitness testimony. These two women aren't outsiders, they were handpicked, managed, and promoted by Diddy during the height of his career. Their stories aren't old tabloid gossip, they're part of the official record now, and legal insiders say the odds are growing that one or both may be called to testify in the criminal case if it moves to a more expansive scope. Aubrey's past interviews are now being revisited with renewed interest. One clip in particular has gone viral, a 2019 podcast where she said he could break you with a look, and he did, all the time. You couldn't speak unless spoken to. You smiled, or you were gone. At the time, it was dismissed as bitterness from a failed pop group. Now, it reads like foreshadowing. If these women take the stand in week 2 or beyond, the focus will shift from just Cassie to a pattern, a long, well-documented one of abuse and exploitation, particularly of young women under his control. And that may be the defense's worst nightmare. Not just one accuser, but a chorus of women, all telling the same story. While Diddy's team continues to portray him as a misunderstood genius under attack, there's one development they've struggled to control: the growing scrutiny surrounding his sons. Christian King Combs and Justin Combs were both detained during the high-profile raid on Diddy's mansion in 2024. At the time, it was framed as routine, a show of force, nothing more. But new details are painting a much more troubling picture. Christian Combs is now directly accused of sexual assault and battery in a 2024 lawsuit. The incident allegedly took place aboard a luxury yacht chartered by Diddy himself. While Christian has denied the accusations and has not been criminally charged, the allegations have drawn investigators back to one crucial question: was Diddy enabling this behavior? And if so, was he present? The yacht incident isn't isolated. It reflects the same party culture described by Cassie: secluded, drug-fueled, and removed from accountability. What's particularly damaging is the claim that Diddy was aware of the incident shortly after it happened, yet took no action. If this can be proven, it could elevate the situation from family drama to potential conspiracy. Justin Combs, the older of the two sons, hasn't been named in the lawsuits, but his detainment during the raid has brought renewed attention to his proximity to Diddy's inner circle. According to anonymous sources close to the investigation, federal agents are reviewing communication between Justin and Diddy related to events and gatherings at multiple properties. Why does this matter? Because if prosecutors can establish that Diddy not only hosted but facilitated or covered up criminal behavior involving his own sons, the case moves into an entirely new legal category. That's not just abuse, that's organizational, systemic, RICO-level activity. As week 2 looms, speculation grows that one or both sons may be called to testify, either voluntarily or under subpoena. And if they do, they'll face a brutal choice: protect their father or protect themselves. Either way, the illusion of the glamorous, Instagram-perfect Combs family has been shattered. What's left is a dynasty under siege, where loyalty is no longer a brand, but a potential liability. As the courtroom gears up for another week of testimony, one thing is becoming increasingly clear: we are still just at the beginning. So far, week 1 has named an astonishing list of celebrities: Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Michael B. Jordan, Britney Spears, Prince, Michelle Williams, Bruce Willis, Eddie Murphy, Suge Knight, and even Diddy's own sons. Some names were brought up as part of Cassie's timeline. Others were used strategically by the defense. But all of them are now part of the official trial record, and that means more could follow. Multiple reports confirm that additional subpoenas have been prepared. New depositions are being scheduled. Federal agents, including Homeland Security and the FBI, are now involved in reviewing digital evidence, specifically surveillance footage from Diddy's properties. That includes what's beneath them. The tunnels. Yes, the infamous tunnel. Secret passageways beneath Diddy's mansion, referenced repeatedly in social media rumors, but now confirmed by architectural plans and security staff statements. Prosecutors haven't revealed what's been found in those areas yet, but sources close to the case suggest video files, client lists, and possibly even NDAs stored in hidden compartments may soon become part of the trial. That's the turning point, because once this case moves from testimony to hard digital evidence, it's no longer about who says what, it's about what can be proven. And once names start matching footage, the floodgates will open. Who else might be named? Rumors are swirling about appearances from other high-profile guests at Diddy's legendary white parties and private island retreats. Think beyond musicians. Think moguls, executives, influencers, people who've spent years protecting the very system Cassie claims nearly broke her. Even the prosecution has hinted that week 2 will feature new narratives. That's code. What they're really saying is this: more people are coming forward, more stories are being confirmed, and the timeline of Diddy's alleged abuse is expanding. This trial started with Cassie. It may end with a reshaping of how we talk about celebrity culture, power, and silence. Because the truth isn't just about what happens in one courtroom, it's about what gets exposed when the lights come on. And right now, those lights are just warming up.